Welcome to the Dishing with Mike show. Now, we're kind of done with doing little pizzas. We're through the holidays and we're kind of coming into Valentine's Day. You can see we got the set all changed over already. So I'm by myself today, so I'm going to be looking for a Valentine's. We're going to do the Valentine's contest. All right, and I'll tell you a little bit more about that at the end of the show. Now, what we're going to do today real quick, we're kind of doing the pasta paparazzi. We got pasta everywhere. They're surrounding me, okay? So we're going to do a couple really cool pasta dishes today, incorporating some very, very nice fresh ingredients that we've worked with in the past, but we're going to show you how to apply these ingredients differently into two different finished dishes. So come right back to Dishing with Mike, and we'll start cooking it up, and then we'll dish it up. Welcome back to the Dishing with Mike show. Like I said, we're going to do a couple of really great pasta dishes. Very easy, very fresh, very clean, and of course very healthy. What we're going to do today is we're going to incorporate some prosciutto ham. Now, we've worked with that in the past, and we're going to incorporate that today into a little pasta dish. So this kind of becomes our protein, if you will. So why don't we do this? We went ahead, while we took a quick break, we put our pastas in the water. So they're in there cooking, all right? And Jake's not even going to get a chance to see it, but we're going to work in this skillet right here. Now, what we're going to do is I'm going to get a little olive oil kind of going here to bring up the temperature, because we are going to not really cook because the prosciutto ham is already cooked, but what we're going to do is we're going to try and get it a little bit more crisp and get it up to temperature here in the skillet, and then kind of bring the prosciutto ham kind of up to a nice crisp kind of mouthfeel, like as if you were cooking bacon. So basically all we're going to do is, if you're ever looking for prosciutto ham, you can find it kind of right there in the deli section at Publix, right in front of the deli. They got it already prepackaged. So if you didn't want to buy a whole bunch, you can buy like a little half a pound, quarter pound. Very nice stuff. Very lean, like I said, and it's already cooked. So I could just take a bite of this right now and be done with it, but I'm not going to do that. So what we're going to do is we're basically going to take a little bit of this prosciutto ham. We're going to dice it up just a little bit. So we add a little texture, a little flavor. It's got a little salt flavor. It's got a nice little ham flavor. And basically create a little bit of texture on this prosciutto ham. Okay, nice and diced. Now, I've used the prosciutto ham in a spinach dressing once before. We've tried prosciutto ham on some appetizers. Okay, so it's very versatile, very interesting flavor. It's got great body and consistency to use in some pasta dishes. Now, what else are we going to have to do? We're kind of getting back to the basics. Okay, a little garlic, not too much. We've got to get our heat going here. All right. Now, so what I have laid out in front of us is all the ingredients we're going to use, kind of like as if we were going to go through the pantry. So we got Kalamata olives that are already pitted we're going to use in this dish. A little white sweet onion. We're going to use some parsley, some peas, just frozen peas, and a little bit of butter, some Parmesan cheese. And then on this particular dish, what we're going to do to finish it off is I'm going to add some Italian breadcrumbs at the end once I plate it. We're going to put it right in the oven, and we're going to broil it to brown up the breadcrumbs to add another whole different texture and taste to it. All right, so you see we have a little action going on over here. So we're just going to take our prosciutto ham, and we're just going to go right in here to the skillet. Okay? We're going to let that kind of cook up just a little bit. Now, while that's going on, we're going to add our... You can either add white onions, which we're going to do. They're nice and sweet. Okay, just a little bit, because I'm kind of just making a dish, one little party dish. And I'm going to add a little bit of red onion, okay, for a little different texture, a little different taste. Okay? Now what we're going to do, the process here, is we are going to saute this. Okay? So currently our cooking method is we are sauteing, okay, this onions and ham. We want to saute the onions until they become a little bit of translucent, because we don't want them to get too mushy. We want them to have still a little bit of bite. All right? Now, while that's going on, we're going to add a little bit of some fresh basil. Now this is something we've used on the show. It's a very versatile herb. Fantastic flavor. We're just going to kind of ball it up just a little bit, and we're going to do just a real simple little chiffonade, just very easy. Okay, very simple. We're going to put that in there to get a little texture, a little flavor, another dimension. Okay, so once again, what are we doing? We are layering some different flavors. We need a little bit of salt, okay, a little kosher salt. We can always add, that's hard to take away, okay? And then we're going to take our Kalamata olives, and I'm going to they're whole, all right, and they're pitted. All right, I'm going to take them and just going to crush them up a little bit. Almost like if you were going to take maybe whole tomatoes and you were going to crush them versus buying crushed tomatoes. So we're just going to kind of crush them up a little bit. Another flavor, another texture, okay? Great eye appeal, but also a very good flavor component. All right, next, what are we going to do? We're going to add a little bit of pepper, okay? We got to check on our noodles. Now on this dish, we're going to use this rigatoni, okay? And they're just about done because we want to take a chance in overcooking them. Now, what are we going to do right here? Right as everything is kind of sizzling up, we're going to come back and we're going to add some of our fresh tomatoes, okay? It's about a half a cup. We're going to let that saute up just a little bit. So we want to bring this up to a nice sizzle, all right? Then right at the end, what we're going to do, before we add our pasta, we are going to add our peas, okay? So we have our frozen peas, and these are just some mini peas. Very simple. All right, we're going to add those in there. So you can see we have some beautiful color. We have our reds, we have some green, we have some browns with the Kalamata olives. At the same time, we got some very unique flavors. All right, so now what are we going to do? Well, we got our water off, all right, so our pasta doesn't overcook. We're going to toss this just a little bit because we do have to finish out the whole kind of thawing process of the peas and make sure that they're not too cold, and it's going to make your dish cold. So we're incorporating them in so that they get warm and bring them up to temperature with everything else here that's on the stove. Now, what we're going to do here is we have to add a very important component, and that is some unsalted butter. All right? About 2 tablespoons. Right in there like that. So basically, our sauce, what's going to make this dish very viscous, is going to be oil, a little bit of butter, some of the juices from the tomatoes, from the peas. Okay? Very simple stuff. Now what we're going to do is we're going to take the pasta out of the water. And what is one of the critical things that we do, that we don't do when we're doing pasta, is we don't discard the water, because we want some of the water to add to the sauce, okay? And that's going to also give it a little bit of some viscosity as well. Very simple, very easy. Now, I'm not making a huge dish. It's kind of like a little family platter. Now, one of the things that we're going to do after we're done, right at the end, obviously, is we're going to incorporate some Parmesan cheese. And it's really interesting, if you were here, you know, like I am, you can just smell the total flavor and the smell of everything has changed a little bit, adding that butter. It's an amazing thing that happens. Now, we're going to add a little Parmesan cheese, right in here like that. Now, the Parmesan cheese has a little bit of salt flavor, so that's why we don't add too much of our kosher salt, all right? Now, we're going to let that we're going to let the Parmesan cheese just kind of melt in just a little bit to help create it to be a little bit more on the thick side. In the interim, what we're going to do, we're going to get our platter ready. Now, I told you, right at the end, what we're going to do here is we're going to put a little Italian breadcrumbs. So now we're laying another flavor on top of this pasta, okay? Just a little bit. So we're going to take the Italian breadcrumbs and we're going to add just a little bit of the magic kind of seasoning, if you will. We're going to incorporate that into the sauce, into the finished product. And then what we're going to do is we're going to plate it right here like this. Okay, and the idea is to try to get some of that good stuff right on top. Okay? Now, watch this. We talk about this all the time. It's called food cost. You see the skillet's got a lot of good stuff in there. We don't want that to go to waste. So we use the spatula or the spatula, whatever you have, and we get the rest of that stuff off right on top. Okay? Boom. Just like that. Now, we're just going to kind of shake it a little bit. We're going to hit it with just a little Italian breadcrumbs. Okay? And then what we're going to do is I'm going to put it in the oven just for a second. So why don't we do this real quick. While I'm going to put this in the oven, we'll take a quick break. It's going to brown up. When we come back, I'll pull it out. You'll see the finished dish, and then we'll start on our next dish on Dishing with Mike. All right, so we're back with Dishing with Mike. So right before we went to break, we kind of put the dish in the oven. What we're trying to do is just create maybe just a little bit of browning effect on the breadcrumbs. It's going to add a little bit of texture. We're going to finish it off with some fresh Parmesan, a little fresh oregano right on top. So why don't we go ahead and get to that. All right, let's pull it out. Now remember, the platter's hot, so we got to have something dry to bring it out of the oven. You can't have a wet towel, otherwise you'll burn yourself. Okay? So we got just a little bit of a browning effect. We're going to add just a little bit of fresh Parmesan cheese right on top. At the same time, it kind of helps dress up your platter. Okay, nothing too fancy. And then we'll finish it off with a little bit of fresh oregano right on top. Okay. Then what we're going to do is we're going to start off making our next pasta dish. So just a little bit of fresh oregano right on top. Fantastic. So there you go. A very nice, easy, fresh dish. All right, our protein is our prosciutto ham. We're going to set that right there for now. And we're going to start working on our next item. Now, we've got to kind of work clean here. So what we're going to do next is we're going to incorporate, kind of do a little bit of a cream sauce. Okay? But in the interim, what we're going to do is we're going to saute a little bit of garlic and a little bit of onion for this product. Okay? So we're going to get our skillet up to temperature. We're going to add a little bit of olive oil because we're not using the olive oil as part of the wet sauce like we did here. This one is going to be wet because we're going to use cream as our base and a little bit of butter. All right, but we're going to use the oil to kind of saute our garlic and a little bit of our onion. Now on a traditional fettuccine alfredo, which we've done in the past, we've just incorporated cream and butter and salt and pepper, and that's it. This is going to be a little different, but we're using kind of like a mother sauce. You can make a bechamel, and that's one of the mother sauces that you can use and incorporate into other dishes using a cream sauce. So it's kind of like we're doing that, kind of a faux bechamel sauce. Okay. Once again, we're going to use a little bit of the sweet onion. So what have we done? What have we shown you? How to incorporate the same item into a different finished dish. Okay, so that way you're not wasting food at home. Groceries are very expensive. Things have time to time go up in price, so you want to be able to be as economical and use things as best you can. So we got a little bit of action going here. Now, what's going to be our protein in this dish? This is red sockeye salmon in a can. So you can go to the store and buy Atlantic salmon, red sockeye, or pink salmon, Atlantic salmon, Alaskan salmon in a can. The beautiful thing is the one can has like 22 grams of protein. So what a phenomenal source of protein. No fats, no carbs, a little bit of sodium, but a lot of protein. You open a can, you drain off the water, you're ready to go. So we're going to incorporate this into our dish as our protein. So it's kind of like we're doing a little seafood cream pasta dish. Okay, now we're going to add just a little bit of salt. Not much. We can always add, but we can't take away because the salmon in its own nature is a little bit on the salty side. Okay, so we don't want to over salt this because then you're dead. All right, we're going to add our salmon right in here. Okay, you can smell the salmon already. Fantastic product. Now, what are we going to do next? We are going to incorporate parsley because it's a seafood dish. Right at the end is a little garnish, a little flavor right at the end of your palate to kind of finish this off. We are going to add a little butter. Okay. Okay. Probably about 2 ounces of butter. Gotta love the butter. Now we're going to come back and we're going to add our cream. because this is what our sauce is basically made of. It's a cream sauce. Now, what have we talked about in the past when we're using a cream sauce? One, of course, you want to be careful that you don't scorch the cream. So it's good to have a nice heavy skillet or sauce pot or sauce pan that you're working with, because in order for this to all work, we have to bring this cream up to a rapid boil. And then we're going to take kind of our another short noodle meaning obviously it's not long like fettuccine, a little bit easier perhaps to eat. We're going to take just a little penne regatta, and we're going to use that. I've already cooked it. It's still al dente. Okay, what does that mean? Has a little bit of bite to it. So during the cooking process of bringing this up to a boil, we have to take and understand we don't want to overcook the noodle now, because we're still going to cook it in here. So you got to kind of work, kind of almost begin with the end in mind, if you will. Now we're going to add a little bit of black pepper. Okay. So we got it. We got the cream coming up to a boil. Now what do? Just like with fettuccine alfredo, when we're making fettuccine alfredo, fettuccine is the noodle. We are going to now add our noodles right in here. Okay. Now something a little bit different than before. I'm not adding any really of the pasta water to this, because I don't want to dilute the overall intensity and flavor of the cream sauce. I don't need to do that. We don't want that to interfere whatsoever with the taste of the cream and the butter, and then of course the magic ingredient, the Parmesan cheese, which is going to help bring it all together and kind of help bind it. All right. While that's kind of coming up to its second rapid boil, we're going to go ahead and prep our parsley. Now the parsley is really going to be kind of more of a garnish. When I speak in terms of garnish, you got seafood. We're going to put this right on top at the end so that when you kind of eat the seafood pasta, you have something where you're able to enjoy the seafood flavor, but then at the end, the parsley kind of helps clean your palate at the same time. All right? So just a little bit of a nice little dice on it, letting the knife do the work. You notice how I kind of have the knife on the cutting board. All right? So that kind of helps you protect your fingers. It's a good thing to teach the kids if they want to learn how to work a knife. Okay, it keeps it low. All your fingers are away from the knife. Okay, that's very, very important. We'll move this off to the side because that's going to be our garnish. Now let's go over here and check out our pasta. So, you see, it came back up to a nice boil. Now, it's time for that magic ingredient of Parmesan cheese. Now, I get emails asking what kind of cheese. It's kind of important, if you got to have the right tools to do the right job. So part of that is having the right ingredients to do the right job of making this creamy and just velvety and just phenomenal in taste. So you got to have the right cheese. And I'm talking about you got to have kind of an aged cheese that has a lot of a milk content, so that when it starts to melt like this is, you can see the consistency of the dish is already changing. It's thickening up. That's what we want. Okay? Now, I'm going to taste it because it's important. All right? I'm going to hit it with just a little bit more pepper. But other than that, you have the flavor of the salmon, you have the cream, the butter. Before we dish it up, we're going to take a quick break. We come back, we'll do our final toss. We'll top it with cheese, a little parsley, and we'll be ready to go and dish it with Mike. So we'll see you in just a minute. All right, so we're back with Dishing with Mike. We're at the stove, the fettuccine, salmon, whatever you want to call it, penne, Alfredo, because really we're making an Alfredo sauce. Okay, you can't really call it fettuccine because that's a noodle. So we got a little penne Alfredo with fresh salmon in it. Now, we're ready to go. So you can see that now, we talked about this in the past. The idea was to incorporate the noodles and the sauce into one combined unit. So that's what we did. So the cream and the butter and the cheese have all become one, where we don't have pasta with a sauce on it or just a sauce with pasta in it. It's a combined entity, okay? It's the finished product. So now what I talk about, we're going to add a little bit of the fresh parsley, nice color. And you got, the thing is, it's unbelievable, the smell of the fresh cream is sweet and the butter is sweet and the salmon is, good fish is sweet in taste and look and smell. You don't want fish that smells fishy, because then guess what? There's something fishy going on, okay? It's got to be a sweet smelling fish. That's the sign of a good fish. Now we're going to finish up with some fresh Parmesan cheese, just a little bit, right on top. And that's it. So, an Alfredo pasta with canned salmon. What a beautiful thing. 22 grams of protein. You got a little unsalted butter. You got a little low-fat cream, fresh parsley, salt and pepper. Very simplistic. Over here, we did the prosciutto, little Kalamata olives, red onions, sweet onions, yellow onions, prosciutto ham, some fresh basil, a little bit of oregano, some peas, and diced tomatoes. Very simple. Put in the oven for about a minute to brown up the breadcrumbs. So it's only fair that we try it, but before we go anywhere, I talked about Valentine's Day. Now last year, we had a contest. Whoever wrote in the best why we should come and cook for you and your special person at their home, we may put a twist on it and have you come over here and cook for you here. It's a lot easier. We're going to take the road less traveled. So write in, why should you be the winner? And we had a great time last year. So that's the contest. We'll pick a winner in the next couple of weeks. We'll let you know. You'll be on the show. We won't tell anybody. You set it up. Let us know what you want to do. But email indadishingwithmike.com. Now we get about 8,000 to 10,000 emails and hits on the website a month. So make sure you let me know who you are, where you are, how to get in touch with you, because that's the only way I can keep track of it all. So we want to thank you for being with Dishing with Mike. We hope you enjoyed the show. We hope you enjoy the food. Try the recipes. Let me know what you think. And we'll see you next week on Dishing with Mike. I feel so bad eating by myself. Well, not really.